Good morning, everybody. This is COOLA from Raw Stocks. We are looking at an expansion from yesterday, and we have some interesting data dropping today. Hopefully, everyone is locked in and ready because today could be some fireworks. Let's see. Let me pull this up real quick. I'll show you guys. So you can see ADP's non-farm employment change 37,000 compared to the forecast of 111,000 previous at 60K. This is a tough thing to swallow right here. This is companies showing some major contraction in regards to their spending. So is this something that they're preparing to try to make it where they hit their earnings, or is just something that that's virtually all we got? But I mean, is it going to be is it going to be enough? Will they hit those numbers still? So we'll see. One more thing before we get off of that data today, we have final services PMI, and we have ISM services PMI today. So these are a couple things you need to be taking a look at today. Those will drop 15 minutes after open and 30 minutes after open. So know those time frames for the day, as they could drastically change price action. Okay, so yesterday we talked about a potential expansion off of the 592 level for SPY. This was really brilliantly executed on a whole bunch of levels that we kind of saw, right? What we thought might happen was we looked to see it hold and maintain that 592 level here. And once it held that 592 level, which was the pivot level we talked about, I said watch for it to come towards this 59.55, see if it wants to retract. The problem is here for us is that we were out here, but this thing really did take off over the top of this, and there was an opportunity to re-enter this because we talked about a potential squeeze up towards 6,000. But for me, it just sat on the sidelines here. You can tell by trend bucks that VIX was implied for a move all the way up towards 600. So an interesting move and expansion. We talked about this, and it was a great move. It was a great move. So what do we have today? Let's look at the data. So, shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and Gamma Edge. While I load this up. Okay, so let's pull up SPY real quick. So we're looking at SPY, or it's call dominated today. I would say this is kind of split, right? Yesterday we were very much one-sided. There wasn't a lot of puts, but today we're starting to get that more of a feel towards 600. We'll see what SPX is going to show us. Show us if we have any confluence. Call dominated on SPY. Pretty large range though, honestly, for the day. Okay, so virtually just a big magnet towards 6,000 today. That's the biggest magnet we've seen in some time. And so 59.60 and 6,000 is virtually what we're looking at. So let's take a look at this real quick. Let's pop this. Let's get our new range in here, which is going to be 6,000 to 59.60. So we're right here. So these levels, let's take these off. Don't mean anything anymore. Okay. So previous day highs down here. We have our range here, 59.60 to 6,000. So it's a kind of in that range of looking to hold the low to break it up towards 6,000. That's what that's showing right there. Let's take a look at SPY real quick. I want to see if the market's moving outside this range already. Um, you know what's funny is that when we look at data from SPY today, let me make sure I'm right, and I didn't see this wrong. Yeah, massive range today, 600 to 590. Huge, 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 huge. It's not far off. It's not far off from being just at 594. So keep that in mind. Which would which virtually is a little bit lower than SPX, but it's right there. So because of the draw there, I will include it into this range, but I would say virtually your tighter range is right here. And know that there is an expansion all the way back down towards 590 in play today. So we're gonna remain this at 594 based on the data. It's close enough. You take a look at the net gex there, it is very close to being virtually the wall, and I think it will grow. So we'll leave it right there. Okay, so what to do when we're right here dead smack in the middle of the range? And the answer is nothing. You do nothing here. You wait on your hands, and that's that. For me, I don't know why that was sitting there. So the range is a little bit higher than that now. So if this is the case, watch for a potential move down towards that 594 range, right? And then we may see that expansion all the way up to 600. 600 is the ceiling today. I don't know why I had that lower. But 600 is the ceiling. So we're looking at this day. Will this turn into some type of chop day now? Because we just said 594 as the potential low. Will this turn into something where 595 and 594 kind of just rope, and then we see a decision from here? There's a possibility on that, right? I think ADP is going to scare a lot of people, but I think the services PMI and stuff like that come out. That definitely can make us a move. So watch for a potential downwards move here, or even not even get to that point. 595 access support, and we can see some move like this. Everything. Let's switch views here. This is a telltale sign of an expansion look, okay? But anytime we take a new high, right? Anytime we take a new high like this, you need to be careful, okay? Because this is where the rugs get pulled. This is a potential expansion point. We talked about this yesterday, and where we might be looking to go and test previous highs. But you need to be very cautious of this, right? Look, here's our highs, make a new high, boom, sold on big time. Came back, boom, sold on. Came back up here, boom, sold on. I mean, so keep in mind that anytime you make a new high like this, you always need to look for a potential rug pull. I'm not saying you need to go crazy short or anything like that, but you need to be very cautious. There's generally a print, which we didn't get today, that I love teaching, and this is like a bearish harmonic, and you catch it on reversals. Look at the top here, you catch like a little look like this, a little look like this, and you'll catch them on the bottoms too. Let's see, harmonics, and you'll see this pop up time and time again. But normally speaking, when you see this, like let's say for example, yesterday didn't happen, we could have seen a big sell down, and 580 could have been in books. But anyways, we'll go over that at another time. Today we're trying to get a bunch of coverage in, so let's go move over to Nvidia today. Let's take a look at the data, or at least get it rolling. Okay, so we talked about 140 yesterday being the wall. It blew right through that wall, right? We talked about it coming and revisiting into this range being the first visit here. Generally, you see it being sold on a reversal like this. First visit, sold on. It made a strong move. It broke the level that we talked about. Talked about aiming for 140 and into that 142 and 143 range. Didn't quite make it to the 142 and 143 range, but it got just sold on here, and now we're sitting right back at this level at 142. So what is data telling us now? How have things changed? Well, if we take a look at the data here, we can see that 145 and 135 are definitely starting to grow, and 135 is really growing quite a bit, honestly. $2 million in the net gex here, very much call dominated, kind of like an ascending, you know, type of look here. 145 standing out above the rest now. It looks like it may try to draw it there, but don't be a fool. 229's, or excuse me, 142 is a big wall here with 229 on it. So we will set this up though at 145. 145 is the new range, expansion range, with a low of 135. So at this point, what do we do, right? Again, this is one of those, this is a same thing kind of like here, right? There is no great move here. There is no great move here. Not within a risk versus reward. You can look for 140 to hold, right? This is probably a pretty this is probably one of the most awkward price actions that you can try to play here, okay? Because your upwards move is 145. You can look to try to, say, hey, I'll hold 141's little distribution block here and try to get it to hold that, but more than likely you're going to be swept. More than likely it's going to retest 140 before you get to 145, and so it's just not a great little setup here. I mean, try your own thing, but I would imagine that 140 gets tested before 145 gets hit today. If 145 gets hit today, if this is the case, where we kind of chop here, then I lean more towards that low side chop on SPX. I don't really love this expansion today, but I could be wrong. Taking a look at the daily view here, this is exactly where we're talking about seeing this as a pivot point and seeing a break towards that 142 close, trying to gap close this thing. Now, will we see an expansion over the top of that and try to get towards the highs at 143, right? So watch this move right here, mark that 143.49 as a potential target, which is right up here. This would be a high level resistance here. A lot of people will be selling in this area, so keep that in mind as you watch today. There's not a lot of meat on the bone there. Let's just keep that in mind. So avoid Nvidia today. That was a nice move, a break over the top of that, especially over 140. That was a clean break there, but today's setup, no good. Don't like it. Avoid. Tesla. Ooh, man. This was an interesting one, right? So we've seen this thing kind of make its move towards 350. It actually broke over 350 for a second. Got to 355, which is virtually this swing low over here's area resistance. Got there, got held up, and just got sold on. The moment it got below 350, it got hammered. And this was This was a pretty good size drop, and now people don't really know what to do as it opened right really a little bit below where it opened the previous day, and kind of showed us a little bit of a bearish candle here, right? Little inverted hammer here. So we're going to see if this thing wants to go and maybe retest that zone we talked about, right? This 330 zone. And we'll see if data supports it. Maybe. 360, 330. There's a decent sized pool. Realistically, 12 and yeah, 11. Yeah, so those are pretty good sized pools here. Nothing that like stands out. But I definitely feel as if there's some weakness to be had here. You know, we always talk about the daily four being a trend indicator, at least a short-term trend indicator. And when you see this, yes, this could be a reversal, right? This could be a reversal, and then this could be a profit-taking candle. Seen this before, lost on this before. Be cautious, right? So over the top of 350, I really think, and if it looks strong, it probably is strong, and then it's gonna get squeezy. Um, but if it starts, we start seeing a decent sell off, chances are your targets are the daily 20 in these lows down here towards 330. Options do show us that is a definite area of intention. So if we're looking at this, let's update the data. 360 to 330, 360, 330. So we'll leave 330 there. I still remain long over 330 down here. This is a good buy zone. So if we do get that swipe down here, and we stay and remain over 330, I do think it's a decent long zone. But I do think definitely that this is probably a high level target for Tesla. So keep an eye on some more weakness today. Maybe try to catch that 330 move, and then once it goes that way, you might see it position for the 355 and 360 area. Those are areas you need to be kind of watching for the rebound, right? If it slips 330 though, that's where things get dangerous. We got a large gap down here. You have your 50 down here, your 200s here. So realistically, your sport is more so in this 200 to 270 range. So keep that in mind as if Tesla does look to fall off, as I've already seen some retaliation in Canada and stuff like that. It's definitely something you need to monitor. So, okay, guys, I'm going to do a featured thing based on X last night. I was asked to cover Carvana, so I'm going to cover Carvana. This is the just the expansion. This. First of all, let me just say, if you bought Carvana when this thing was dirt cheap, when this thing was about to, like, everyone said, bankrupt, and this, I mean, my goodness, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but look at this, $5, $5. This thing sold down. Look at this sell down here, right? This thing went all the way down here, probably a little bit lower than that, probably three something, but I'm just not caring. This thing's back at 339. 339. What an expansion here. We see a clean distribution move here with the daily four. This is what I love this thing, right? You can see this is a clear distribution, maintaining this. So the fact that this thing wants to close over 330, this thing still remains very, very bullish and very strong. And we've pulled our data on this. Let's kind of look and see what we're looking at. Very much call dominated. It's starting to get into a neutral area, so 350 looks pretty much like a potential topping zone. But let's start looking here. Let's look at this. 815.25. Let's clear this out and take a look at where they're targeting for the quarter. 370, nothing substantial, but 370 is where they're looking on the high side there. So short term, 350 looks to be a high level target for Carvana. I mean, look at the support here. It's way down here, right? So 350 to 300. But you don't look to short this thing until you see at least the daily 4 closed under. Okay, this thing has remained strong. But there is a decent sized wall here at 350. But I want to show you something, and I'm going to show you something about CoreWeave. There was a big wall at 120 too. You can see kind of how that happened. 120, right? There's a big wall. Well, boom, and then it busted. And you see this thing just run after 157. So don't take that for everything that there's just a wall there. It's just a barrier for it to get over. But watch 350 to act as resistance here for sure. And I wouldn't look to go short on this thing. I would keep riding this thing until you at least hit 350 or you start seeing a close under the daily 4. All right. This is a clear distribution to the upside. Where do you buy? You would buy closer towards the previous day high and this day's low. I'm not interested in buying at the top. Clearly, you need some type of pullback. Use a moving average. Use a moving average for that. That 330 zone doesn't look bad, and also into that 320 zone if it came down. But the full options range for Carvana is 350 to 300, which would, this has been proven time and time again as a great area of demand. And so if you could get a buy near here and look to use your stop near that 300, then that's a pretty good move towards trying to get towards 350 plus. Oh wait, so that's great. So let's see if we get that expansion up towards 350, and then at that point, let's see if it wants to consolidate or sell down. There was another one. I'll have to write them down next time. I didn't write them down. It's my bad. Plus we're getting a little long on this one. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope everybody finds that helpful. If you guys are interested in finding out what we do, check out Raw Stocks LLC, and make sure you turn on your notifications, subscribe to us. Until next time, we'll catch you later.